One of the major reasons why projects fail is that the scope of the project is not well defined. There are two things that can happen when the project scope is being managed. One is called scope creep, the other is called gold plating. Let us discuss what is meant by these terms and why it is important to manage them. Whenever the customer asks to add more work to the already defined work without proper change control and change approval, it is called scope creep. I said customer, but it can come from other stakeholders, even outside of the project team. So maybe the users of the product or service are asking for something. They may ask for new features or functions or tweak the features or functions, but all this happens without an approved change request. It becomes scope creep. Let us look at a few examples to understand this. A user asks to change the font of the text on the screen that is being developed. He does not like the currently selected font. Maybe the current font is preferred by other users and that is why it was decided as part of the requirements. Maybe there is some other reason like visual machine reading which requires the current font. Now if this font change is added to the work by the project team, it is scope creep because the project team never evaluated and estimated the impact of this change on the overall project scope and project objectives. There was no review done of how this change may impact something downstream in the process, or if it is going to break something else. Another example is that of an under construction multi-story building. The buyer asks for bigger size windows to be put up. There are several things that need to be evaluated. What will be the effect of bigger size windows on the natural light coming in, on the heating and the cooling of the building? Without evaluating these, if the project team makes the change just because it looks like a simple change on the drawings, it is scope creep. Now the other thing, which is called gold plating, is when the project team adds something to the scope of the project without properly evaluating and without an approved change request. For example, a developer who is building a new screen to show some data decided that since I am already working on the screen and there is space on the screen, I can also show customer's address on the screen, thinking that the users or customer will like it, will appreciate it. Does it look like exceeding customer expectations? No, wait a second. User may not require it at all, and it may just clutter up the screen real estate. Or the user may like it, but showing that information may have a negative impact on something else. No one knows because the impact was never evaluated. So a project manager and the project team must try to avoid both the scope creep and gold plating. One of the effective ways to do that is whenever a change is requested or thought of, a change request must be created, evaluated, approved, and then implemented. So, answer to the question, why manage the scope? The objective is to make sure all the required work is done and only the required work is done. Nothing extra is done and nothing required is left out to be done. This is achieved by taking control of scope creep and gold plating.